All right. So today I'm going to go over some of the little tiny finishing steps for your kurinuki jar or your kurinuki box project. And then it's due tomorrow. So today is this day of this project is kind of like this day of our last project, where it's a day where if you're on track and on target, you could get your project turned in today, and then you wouldn't have anything to do tomorrow other than come to our Google Meets. Or if you're behind, you can use today as a day to catch up because the project isn't due until tomorrow. And I'm going to talk about your finishing steps today. So how to turn it in, what I'm looking for in the video, all of that. So that's what today is really all about. It won't be a very long Google Meet today. I'm just going to go over some of that finishing stuff. What other things are on my list to talk about? All right, I guess that's it. So we got 27 people logged in. Everybody here logged in? Hey. All right, cool. So I'm going to show you some of the finishing steps and just kind of remind you of a few of the things that you need to know about. Oh, thank you. So the things we've been talking about, finishing that form. Uh-oh. Stuck there for a second. Carving out the box, carving out the lid, adding a flange that sticks down from the lid. And I just graded a bunch of your flange pictures because yesterday's assignment, I think, was to show me a picture of the flange and your handle. And some of the flanges, I was a little nervous. They don't poke out very much. And so I don't know how effective they're going to be to make your lid fitted so it doesn't slide around. So if I left a comment for you about your flange not being very tall, maybe add to it a little bit so that it's more of a pronounced flange. Also, I was looking for handles in the picture in the assignment from yesterday, so make sure that you're thinking of some sort of creative sculptural handle. And by a sculptural handle, what I mean is something that could stand alone as an interesting little piece, an interesting little work of art. So not just a ball, not just a little loop like a rainbow, but something that has some creativity into it that maybe goes with your overall theme of what you've got. Some of the pictures that were submitted yesterday were really great, really creative little objects that you slipped and scored on top of your kurinuki boxes. So just push yourself, try to come up with something that's kind of beyond the norm, that's kind of interesting and sculptural and creative. Now, a couple finishing steps. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but you may need to do something to the bottom of your kurinuki pot, whether it's a little bit of carving like I did here. Maybe it's just smoothing with the sponge. Definitely do your initials and your hour number in the bottom because that's one of the things I'm grading you on. And so then just make sure that bottom looks really good because you're going to show me the bottom of your jar in the video that you're going to take. Another thing that you might find helpful, and this thing is not required, this next thing I'm going to tell you, you might find that as you're trying to put your lid on your object, that it's kind of hard to tell which way it goes on correctly. You might find yourself like going like this, trying to figure out which way it fits. I don't know if you remember from the original PowerPoint that I showed you, but you can add a key to your project, and that key helps you line up where the lid goes and which side it goes on. So in the image that I showed you before, there was that artist put an X and then a matching X right below it, one on the lid, one on the box. And so when she puts the lid on her container, as long as she lines up the X's, she knows exactly how that lid is going to go on. So you could put any sort of design anywhere. And if you do one on the lid and a matching one on the box, that could be your key. So you always know which way it goes on. If you don't want to add a design that would mess with your flow that you got going on here, here's a trick that you could use to do a key that doesn't show. So I can take a pencil and just imprint a little circle into one corner of my box. And then, make sure I got the right side here, I can do a matching little dot imprint on my lid. So this is a little secret key. So now I always know which way that lid goes on when those two little dots are lined up. So that's a little trick that you can use if you want to have not really so much of a guessing game as you're putting your lid on, but it's optional. You don't have to do that key. Another thing that you might want to consider doing, and again, this is optional. This is the box I've been working on in my first hour class. And one of the things you can do if you've got flat sides, or if you've got smooth sides, I should say, I wouldn't be able to do this on my monster box But if you have smooth sides, you can take a metal spoon, and when the clay is dry leather hard, you can actually polish the clay by taking the round back side of your spoon. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Look at, let me get some light here. Oh, there we go. Where is it? There we go. See how reflective and shiny that is? That's called burnishing. So this is not mandatory. It's not required. It's not going to work on everybody's project. But if you really want to shine it up, some people really get a kick out of that like fussy, shiny polishing. It is kind of fun to do. See that shine on there? So this will only work when your clay is dry, leather hard, and it only works if your surfaces are smooth. But this will also take down, if you have like kind of a grit, like that grog has been exposed on the surface, this will re-embed that grog so that there's no rough sandpapery surface on your stoneware. So again, optional, not mandatory, just a fun extra thing you might want to do if you have some time. Okay, so those are the new tricks that I have for you today. Now I want to go over what I'm going to be grading you on for this project. So as you're finishing it today or tomorrow, you know exactly what you're heading towards. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. And you don't have to write this down, but please just pay attention so that you have it clear in your mind what my expectations are. So first, kind of side note, we have a Google Meet tomorrow, a mandatory Google Meet for second hour, and I told you the wrong time yesterday. So your first hour will be at 9. Your second hour, my class, will be at 10. So we will have a Google Meet with the code WHS Ceramics 2 at 10 o'clock. It won't be a long Google Meet because you'll want to use tomorrow probably as work time to get your box turned in. But we will meet and I will take attendance. So just wanted you to be clear about that. And your third hour class, whatever that is, that will start at 11. All right, this is what I'm grading you on now. I want to go through these things so it's really clear. First thing I'm grading you on, the outside of the form should be interesting, thoughtfully made with obvious effort. So I should see that you put some time and thought and effort into that form, whatever it is, making it look the way you wanted it to look. Not just like smacking it on the table and being like, I'm done. So I want to see that you clearly put some time into it. Next, the lid needs to be cut off with that wire tool at the right stage and then relatively flat. I know it's kind of hard to control the wire tool. Maybe it's a little bit higher on one side or the other. But if it looks like it was cut off relatively flat at the right stage, that's what I'm looking for. Next, and this is a big one, the walls of your box and the walls of the lid are carved to be consistent thickness. That's really going to be important that in your video, you show me inside the box, you show me inside the lid, so I can see that you definitely did all the carving that you needed to do, so no parts are too thick. And if you don't carve those thick areas to be thin, what's going to happen is those thick areas and the thin areas are going to dry at different rates, and you're going to get a crack in the box. So make sure that you've really feel for those areas that might be kind of thick yet and hollow those out from the inside yet today. Next, the lid has a flange that will make the lid fitted. So you need to make sure that flange sticks down enough to actually fit inside the box. And that flange needs to be scored, slipped, and melded. So I should see on the inside total smoothness because you melded that flange in. The lid needs to have a handle that is creative, sculptural, and has been scored and slipped. Melding is optional. You don't have to meld the handle in. Maybe you want it to look really distinct and crisp and clear, and that's great. That's fine. And incidentally, I mentioned this yesterday, but I'll say it again. If you feel really strongly about not having a handle because of whatever reason, just make the case to me. Send me a message on Schoology. Stick around at the end of the Google Meet and talk to me then. Talk to me here in class. I'm open to your ideas about not having a handle, but you need to present your argument for why you think that that's the good choice, and then I'll decide if I think that's a valid argument or not. Next, the bottom of the box is carved if necessary, if it's kind of thick, and definitely smoothed, and then has your initials and your hour number on the bottom. You'll be showing me that in the video. The entire form needs a sense of unity and balance, so things should relate throughout the entire thing, and they should be balanced, either symmetrically balanced like this little monster box, or asymmetrically balanced like my crystal box. This is a little bit more asymmetrical. Next, the entire form is neatly smoothed and refined, including cutouts. If you're doing a candle holder or incense holder, you need to clean up inside those cutouts with a wet paintbrush or a sponge. And clean up, obviously, inside your carving marks as well, on the inside and the outside. And then you need to record your 360-degree video. Please have a stationary camera. There's still some people that are taking their phone and zooming their phone around the project, which totally is very hard for me to grade. So make your camera or your Chromebook stationary and just move the project. Turn the project in front of the camera. Make sure there's good lighting. Make sure that it's a horizontal format. So if you're using your phone, set it horizontally, not vertically. Make sure that your video shows all the parts. There's still some people that are forgetting to show me the inside of their project and the bottom of their project, which means I can't grade those aspects of your project, and your grade is really low if I can't see those parts of your project. So don't forget to show me all the parts, and make sure your video is at least 30 seconds long, because if you show me your project for 10 seconds, how am I supposed to grade it? How am I supposed to objectively give you a good grade when I can't really see it? So I know it can be awkward to sit in front of the camera and have it recording you for 30 seconds or more, but that's what it takes for me to really spend some time and be able to appreciate the work that you went into the project. So if your video is shorter than 30 seconds, it's going to affect your grade for sure. All right, there will be an artist statement. Again, I've already posted the prompt on Schoology. You're going to copy and paste this prompt into a Word document, type your answers into a paragraph, and upload that. So you'll be writing about what is the title of this piece and why is it a good title. Briefly explain the steps that you took to make the project. Elaborate on how you felt when you were doing that process, because this project had a really different feel than most of the other things that we did, like the kind of vibe of the project. How does the piece show unity throughout, in your opinion? How does it show balance? Is it symmetrical? Is it asymmetrical? Back that opinion up with some data. What part of your project was your favorite or turned out the best? What part of your project would you do over again if you could? And then finally, do you plan to bring it in to fire it? You can bring it in this week. You can leave it here today if you're here in class today. You can bring it in next week to fire it. It doesn't matter to me if you're going to fire it or not. I just want to have a basic ballpark idea of how many of these projects I'm going to be firing. Okay, and so that is also due tomorrow by 10 p.m. So for your video, this is what I want to see, please. The camera should be horizontal alignment. The object should be very close to the camera so I can see it well. I want you to turn it from all sides. See, you don't have to be in the shot. See how it's just my hands that are in the shot? So you don't have to show me your face. Turn it really, really slowly so I can see it very well from all sides and really spend some time appreciating the work that you put into it. Show me your lid, zoom in on the handle, flip it over, zoom in on the flange so I can see that it's been melded inside and smoothed inside. Set your lid aside and then pick up and show me the box part, the bigger part. Zoom in so I can see the melding and smoothing inside. Show me the bottom. Show me your initials and hour number on the bottom so I can give you points for that. So this video that I took was a minute long, and so yours does not have to be a minute long, but it should at least be 30 seconds. Also be really cautious. Like sometimes kids will lift up their project with the lid on it and turn it and the lid falls off, and that gives me a little tiny heart attack. So please make sure to set your lid aside before you pick up the box. So that is today in a nutshell. I'm going to stop sharing here. Okay, there we go. So people who are here in class today, you are good to go. You can log off the Google Meet. People who are at home, I want you guys to stay on for just a little bit longer if you're at home right now. I sent some messages to people today, so I want you to check your Google message, not Google, sorry, your Schoology messages, because some pretty important messages were sent out this morning. So please check your Schoology messages and get back to me, all right? I need to hear from the people that I messaged today. Everybody who is still on the Google Meet, have a really good day. I'll see you at the Google Meet tomorrow. If you want to stick around and ask a question, please feel free to do so.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle. Have a good day.